Hello, CNN. You guys are recorded, confessed, demonstrated involved with crimes with Connecticut interbranch leaders, including my police chief, including with more child offenders with the schools, with crime acts that demonstrate this true. Also, you guys are with worse than criminal incompetence about what our Constitution, the nature of the law is really about. And it's in really regarding its identity of relationship to itself and the value of that, the nature of the law. See, we have physical delusions, intersciences, and interbranch. We have criminal foreign influences originally and still, and left by our founders to have our free speech. But you guys aren't letting that, and you guys are sequence shifting and identity stealing. For example, making opinions about things, making opinions about what people say about the substance that people say criminally, as crime acts, methods, and natures recorded prevent natures because criminal insidiousness nature is a subject here, simultaneously, inherently, actively, and progressively and unceasingly, and with sequence nature true. So you guys are investing and having invested, having been invested, having had invested, being valued, having been valued, sequence shifting roles. In other words, regarding sequence shifts in cases, but also tied to the fake news. So there's collusion between the branches, overt criminal enterprises, other nations, whole bunch of nations shared sick knaves here, there, fake sciences. This is leaving no representation for areas and is pretending other criminally. Worse than no representation while it's pretending its representation of Hartford, Connecticut, of New York City. So you're not letting the presidents have free speech. And where they think where they call it free, it's not. We're not letting us demonstrate that's not free. Individual rights are where all freedom comes from. You're not allowing the individual rights to be demonstrated. You're allowing areas to be the real causes of the negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures that hurt people, blamed on other causes, other things themselves. People shouldn't have to fight with everybody about to counter violence. We have interbranch predators as women too. This is criminal uses of women originally still. Criminal uses of each difference. And I can speak about that better than them because they're recorded. So even though I'm not a woman, I can speak. Even though I'm not gay, I can speak. You guys are using gay rights, CNN, for exactly no criminally, but criminally opposite in the same as how they forced color. Not our founders. That was left entrenched. Rather than deal with that, they blamed the on how they didn't have free speech. They blame those sick things on them. Those things that stayed pervasive were because areas and states were criminally foreign influenced. Those are criminal insidiousness natures, not just the KKK and Confederate flag theme, breaching screens, fake patriotism natures, but the fake counters to it. Recorded use to keep only let hear heard theater, criminal insidiousness nature. No free speech. You're stealing our identities. Then you need to fight about stuff like that with little punks so you can keep people's responses categorically lied about. Interbranch, multi-front, fake news, multi-front, evidence reception predators. You guys are stacking evidences criminally so they can be because you're furthering a narrative even through time, lying to our nature of volume as of consciousness, humanity. We have sexes and we have the species volume bonded to us, so we can see how these three natures of volume have values, perfect value progression bonded to, and as the value of it, each identity of value. especially living identities of value. And now, see, we're an identity of value that is criminally foreign influence in semi-ancient times. This just reminds. The rest of nature has no criminal foreign influences. That's the only reason we lasted so long. Earth's distinct and not simultaneously distinct and non-distinct value forsaken. That's why it's being forced away from here, Leith of Hades. That's why all the value nature systems that we're a part of, distinctly and non-distinctly sickly, each modern nation. It's not; those aren't means. It's not that the potentials haven't liberated anything where it counts. You know, tactically denatured relationships to nature. You could see that. You can discern that if you really value Native American rights, but not valuing their physical culture, not valuing their opinions that are not true always, and noting as exception nature. Because there is one identity of value it is, but we're not being allowed to free speech to even defend ourselves, short of being to defend anything but of sophistication. Each of the sciences are raised as a criminal insidiousness nature, you know, valuing having had and still the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and nature is blamed on other things, others, themselves. So success, we have success with monetary being used to pretend expertise, and we have criminal uses of expertise not let demonstrated being used to perpetually maintain breaching method uses of individual rights, of individual value. And this is by where value is in nature. And it is simultaneously, distinctly, and non distinctly value as nature and nature as value. And that's how we can discern invisible but still discernible. The is the definite article. It's always used to show how we are an expanding nature of volume. It is always value as nature. Now, put the before run. Run by itself could be a sentence. If I put the run, now it changes the. But it's not. Positive or negative is a trinity. And like a lot of the negatives upon us, just by speaking of them as, in other words, they're not being used to demonstrate what positive is. Everything is a semi-nature. Every completely discernible identity of value is simultaneously a semi-nature. All value is only value and demonstration of value is perfect for progression. This is a nature of understanding that is gaining value. So you guys are forcing debatable things before all the revelations while you're defending pseudosciences with sensibilities as left criminal insidiousness natures. These are organized crime terms because we're talking about the organized crime that our American history is about. We're talking about the natures of identity thefts and of methods to it of our founders, not just then, now. Their identities are stolen insidiously. Our agencies, modern agencies, never had the integrity to have this conversation about the forsaken value of individual rights, of grouped rights / sexes, in other words, and of grouped all together species bond. It's a body of invisible but still discernible value. So we can, for the same reason, inside identity's logic, which is a hierarchy of two complete nature's relationships to themselves, which is sequence nature's value, which is simultaneous nature's. Our nature has an identity of relationship to itself that positive has. That's why no matter who you are, you need clean water. So but positive is different inside of a breaching organized crime trap. Positive different if you're a slave. Positive is different if you're various forms of slaves. You know, and including the ones that are pretending they're not slaves, writing only narratives with like Uncle Tom, associated with internation police that were defending themselves then and now, not outside of the conversation, shared undercover, worthless as identities of the law. That's not debatable, but with lies or physical delusions. That's what started America. It was already entrenched intercolonies in a breaching organized crime against the nations that were representing those colonies, obviously against the Native Americans. But see, everyone was forced to roles, even the Native Americans. That's why they were divided from themselves, because it's a fact cheaping nature racket. The original nature of internation fact cheaping nature quality that revealed the republic for which we stand, the states and branches of government, why and how they're manifest. So the Wethersfield police chief and his family is recorded and confessed involved crimes with a number of principals with a campus about a mile from my house. These are also medical families involved with drugs crimes and with what is it called? Coast Guard, uses of women, uses of opinionators. See, people just say, they move for what leaders tell them to do. But we had all this originally and still criminally forward influenced, not just interstate, 3 states. It's worse than that. And not just intercampuses. That is maintaining live progression, cover up natures down to the finite, intercities insidiously, with houses on corners, with houses associated with systems insidiously, because this was insidiously exploiting the human system before it was sophistication. And the whole time, while it was sophistication, it never had free speech. It was never beyond the sophistication of the breaching organized crime method that came before modern nations, specifically to keep modern nations, states, and areas invested, having had in themselves needing valued the real causes for negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures on other things and others in themselves. No honest body of correlation nature spoke for Hartford, Connecticut, let alone. And it's recorded that every time the president tries to make a quality of fact, cheaping nature truth better than all the other presidents, he's stopped. And then they call him a liar because they're lying and pretending other. In other words, because presidents are forced to lie that way because states and areas are in collusion, criminal collusion, with what is hurting each modern nation sickly, distinctly, specifically to keep each modern nation not able to discern, each individual not able to discern how sickly, non-distinctly, since semi-ancient times. It's just your minds. So we have experts on math and things like that. They're leaving out the natures of industry, and that really, if you were protracted honest correlation, nature simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive means, people will go, whoa, way short of that. See, but we have no setup where we have reliant, we're in a tactically denatured relationship to nature. Again, that is an identity of nature is not a trinity. This is why it's important for science as that to understand this. See, now they make that debatable only because we're not allowed free speech, correlation nature, simultaneously inherent active and medium with sequence true. So they're preventing people. These are evidence perception predators maintaining, you know, better means to better evidences and research tools and things like that. In other words, for better information that is still that is just only a more insidious quality of the criminally foreign influenced information with American history with summary convictions of it shown to lighter grades. But per how maintained were needs to hide life progressions and to hide their actual natures interbranch. To hide their actual natures from free speech is simultaneously inherent active and progressive means with sequence true. We have interbranch actors recorded and confessed, forging names and switching names and having done that. So they with various natures of courts. Ones I was never even in, but they were the recorded, confessed, and demonstrated criminally involved, and the state judicial branch offices, and the Weathersfield police chief family, and retired and standing detectives, and ones in police forms with Weathersfield Police Department, the police departments that were raised needing to hide life progressions because their roles with overt criminal enterprises. Now, these are people involved with trade center crimes. See, I'm talking about crime acts and sequence shifts in cases, and crime acts and cases and crime methods using the courts themselves for criminal foreign influences to prevent, to stack recorded delusions too, just the sequence shifts, fake things in databases, illusions to keep states and areas hiding their life progressions and their actually recorded natures from presidents, and all fighting to do it individually, grouped and together, misprision, criminally foreign influenced, fake differences, people that don't like each other fighting to maintain the same needs means to hide lies and logic progressions, and then pretending they're against dictators, for example, simultaneously, because it's how they're trained to through criminally foreign influenced sciences, pseudosciences. That's worse than dictator. These are criminally foreign influenced states and areas leaders. And campuses uses per them. How many people they gave to positions, pretending other people are morality reliant upon their roles with identity theft starting when people are in grammar school. Illusions with people in the same school with a time, you're not going to see people that are in other classes, but your same grade. And then there's going to be exceptions. Those exceptions are timed out and criminally exploited. There's a Phil Cololo, and there are a number of people associated with houses on Two Rod Highway and off of it. Recorded and confessed involves crimes with a Dillon family, with retired and standing detectives, also involved with real estate crimes that are the motivations of the various natures of courts, all kinds of ways at once, criminally involved in knowing it. They have been criminal with Lena's Pizza since through time with the rest of the men and women involved with the child sexual and medical and interbranch offenders, database crime rolls, intercampuses offenders. These are people with crimes on, off campuses and tied to houses next to campuses already facilitated in the past to crimes against whole families, also as natures and roles that are also as criminal insidious nature, because everyone's facilitated to this. Everyone's listening to background, all fake, and that's all surface, all fake, and them smiling about it. That's why they don't know how to speak. They're child predators, especially women for their abuse. They are more commonly, I mean, more severely, many ways abused. But see, they're not letting us have free speech because it's because of how individual rights, how the organized crime leverage against individual free speech, no matter who it is. That's what's keeping the women hurt the most. And this not let demonstrated because we have women speaking for women dishonestly only allowed and or with physical delusions and then recorded lied to for this. So if you call up a school with recorded sex crime acts on it and actors already proven and further tied to it, note that they forced the confessions of Hid tied to the rest of them with the school still. By arresting me, by not letting me report crime acts. I didn't even get to the sexual ones and the medical ones yet. And I didn't even there are more recorded now. There are people with New Britain Superior Court and with Hartford Superior Court that painted themselves into corners with federal crimes. With a defendant, former director of the FBI, and with his co-defendants involved criminally with kids on off my campuses in intercity through time, and with their roles with crimes with Fox Connecticut News, with two Mendez police, two Domain police, Mulcahy family, per them, criminally involved. I never had a conversation with the Mulcahy family in my life. These are women police forms that pretended they knew me behind my back in on off campuses, per how they lied to groups. They're hiding to each age of life progression, each age of fact treatment nature, maintain self-valuing, misprision criminality, misprision correlation nature, quality of natures, fake middles. Misprision meaning a whole bunch of liars, colleagues, like for example, in relationship to databases, and with their sensibilities with justifications of positive and of time treatments. Because time is used as a torture method, because torture is one of the surface values of the Constitution, so we could demonstrate this. And they're using, you know, real hate and simultaneously misprision pretended care against hate and crime methods roles facilitated to it. That's why we have to demonstrate how the media is in collusion with the directors of the FBI, not just Director Luskin. Other, then we're recorded with all kinds of natures of crimes, and then with their misprision, while they're defending blindly the value of their titles, which is worthless since founding, they're pretending to be against what they're for, not by accident. Then they defend that as a fact treatment nature. Mueller and Comey are crimes against President Trump and President Obama distinctly and non-distinctly. So, one thing about President Trump is that he tried to explain. How many of you have met one of those internation police forums that deal with litigation at the level, a trade center, in other words, NAFTA, all that? How many of you have sat and watched the director of the FBI defend himself personally in a case /S, in a part of a case /S? That was ongoing at the time of my father's death, but before that, they were already recorded and involved with extortion against me, identity theft, crime acts against me, with the same people, intercampuses, intercities facilitated the crime acts, illusions, and identity thefts before that, crimes in other cases, crimes with databases. There's a Heather Hansen family. I don't know her brother's names, and there's a Bruce Hansen and his wife involved with a bunch of crimes with UConn, on off its campus police, with medical families involved with like her boyfriends, also facilitated the crimes, with illusions. That's like Joe DeMoro and Mike Carr, I only know them seeking me out to demonstrate they have crimes with overt criminal enterprises with the area, and that they didn't like how they shared the same sexual partners, but they pretended not to realize that the only times I saw them together. Then that Joe DeMoro too. So that I barely know them. I only know they're in context they can't be honest about, and I tried to demonstrate that. He's one of the cops involved with the two Mendes police involved with Faenza family and with Fox CT and with WFSB, coaching girls to sexual crimes. See, because these are lying to each age of misprision, maintain self value. They're sustaining not let reported sex crime acts on the kids, criminal uses of their campuses, of their Facebook, crime acts of interbranch police, crime acts in cases, crime methods in cases, natures standing originally and still. The way they're treating facts is highly criminal, making things up in New Britain Superior Court, Hartford Superior Court, pretending to perceive things in relationship to formerly conceived things that they formally conceived criminally with Hartford courts involved leading up to the 2006 case, leading up to other cases criminally they used, depositions they used criminally with former director of the FBI, with federal criminals tied to him, recorded tied to further crimes with kids with them, with overt criminal enterprises also, with the schools, and with doctors with crimes with them. They also reportedly forced a kid drugged at his house by a doctor sent to his house who lives on off of next to the Weathersfield Golf Club, Weathersfield Country Club. Forgot the name of the road. I keep forgetting my whole life to check the name of that road, which is at one of the ends of Highcrest Street, which is with those corners, all the three corners on Highcrest Street, really four now, all involved with the child offenders, with the various natures of juxtaposed of crimes. There were also how easily women with the Coast Guard were pulled into child offender roles and as natures, and so also how their roles with extortion, with these titles and jobs associated with them, and then they're pretending to care about getting paid and pretending to care about, like, see, I think is a strong, great woman, but she's not Miss Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi, Speaker Pelosi. But she's like everyone. For example, her nature of law, when she says she laws, like when she says it's a morality about the wall. Morality is a trinity. She's leaving out finite active body of value and progressive lies, sequence shift lies, and worse. In other words, correlation, in other words, states and areas are already involved, facilitated to time treatments. For example, with all the negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures that are only let realized by the people stacking in New York City, only let realized science is forcing it blamed on other causes, other things themselves, and insidiously pretending not to realize that. See, the president tried to say, how many of you know? CNN has recorded, confessed, and demonstrated sequence shifting crime roles with Mueller and with Comey. That's recorded. And per their sequence shift crime roles and fake news crime acts, which makes it worse with their crimes with Mueller and Comey, with defendant, former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, involved with crimes with people with CCSU with them, people that call themselves the intelligence community, knowing that Russians are here, other nations are here with the same criminal uses and valued criminal uses of areas with them. Policing shared with stores, sick, fakes. You can't defend our tactically denatured relationship to nature and what they have valued originally and still, and also at the same time. Not by accident. Each modern nation shares this enemy and layered through a whole bunch of other interests, natures, and needs to tell the same finite, keep the same lies active, progressive identity thefts, blamed on other things, other causes, other themselves. If you call someone makes there are men, police, like real creepy ones, with men and women judges with real creepy natures. So I mean, not personally. I don't know. I mean, personally per their crime acts, nothing personal against them. This is to show you that those are people recorded pretending passions and emotions to hide themselves. Where and how the people, their men in their court of all natures, and facilitated the crimes through time against me and against everyone. These are identity theft rackets. What do you think happens when they make mistakes on purpose in courts? That's identity theft. It's the nature of it. What's that person do? Oh, that's identity theft. That's how we have it outlined. But they're fakes. They're fakes. Each what they call difference is only to obfuscate what difference is, which is our nature of relationship to itself that is positive or negative. But this is per positive or negative per another nature of science that is actually science, not theater. Not what thinks it's not theater because it's sick with a gavel, with a gun, with a pen, with a fake titles. It only hurts to not admit that and how we have fake titles, that and how we have fake sciences, that and how they need collusion with that. So, sensibilities invested all kinds of ways. That's what really furthering the overt criminal enterprises is what needs it and kept it layered, them needing other motivations like drugs and money for the narratives of what they pretend further the overt criminal enterprises, which it's not that. We're in a value nature system that is tactically ulterior from the one that causes positive value nature progressions. And as roles and natures, all child abused, invested to positions that are going to that only make money if you value it. If you value the causes of that, blame the other things and others themselves. Then commonly you have to value titles, thinking for you about things like organized crime and dishonestly and offensively as predators, where fact cheaping nature is being prevented to counter all kinds of natures of violence. And see, the sequence shifts are important because the violence is then not let responded to, and the crime acts. You guys are forcing only people that can have kids are sick people, are criminally foreign influenced people. They're using time and the identity of each location to stack repeatedly people into fake ties to others, fake locations, fake sequence, fake relationships to others. And those are what the courts are doing criminally with the campuses because they were invested. You need to hide lies. You need to hide their actual natures as actually recorded having been treating cases sickly since founding, pounding drums. The all private tied to them, especially prisons. They're involved with like Sandy Hook is involved with Wethersfield interbranch offices on off them, criminally involved with them. Military, right through administrations, recorded, child abused, victim predators, incapable of speaking for our nation, not by accident. It's nothing personal. We don't have to leave it this way. We could do this if we enable our leaders together. President Trump doesn't know how to counter. He tried to have a quality of fact cheap in nature. They each tried different ways, and then they're each broken down, prevented it from different ways. And you know that they were invested. It's known. They lie about they say it's conspiracy theories. In other words, they have conspiracy theories about people's mental stability in Russia and in America, for example, that are also showing that and how the networks like the CBS is also with police with Connecticut criminally involved, retired and standing sources interbranch with them, crimes with the foreign and domestic agencies and militaries, like Kuwaiti military, crimes with our military police that attach Saudis pretended out of prejudice to fake words, fake positions, fake natures of relationships to others, fake sequence shifts. No, crime rolls against these are crimes leading up to the Trade Center attack context, in the Trade Center attack context, Manhattan and Washington from Connecticut, facilitated for them. And as a proven afterwards, papers have been hand delivered to the Ninth Circuit in the Trade Center attack before the Trade Center attack context, time stamped on time. Then they had been presented to the panel of judges in the Trade Center attack context as if they'd been handed in post-date late. So they've been post-dated from inside the court. That was proven after. That led to the Connecticut 2006 district court case with New Britain Superior Courts Police and with Hartford Superior Courts Police and with foreign and domestic military police on off CCSU with crimes on off CCSU campuses databases and with how they keep there's a I don't know, I barely know her. There's a Vicky and there's a Wayne and a Evan recorded and confessed crimes with deans, with identity thefts, with drugs, with kids, using that for their crime roles, facilitated with overt criminal enterprises and other natures of federal criminals and child offenders with the schools. So then I call up to try to report crime acts and have a calm conversation, and people pretend to get scared. See, this is because there's a Phil Cololo that stole my identity through time. I never had any in a class with him. They have people from my town and with the extended family members of a house in my area involved with like a Phil Cololo and Scaloras. Those are reportedly for them years ago cousins of extended family members of Araclo and of his sister and family's house there, and his grandfather involved with crimes with intercity, long-standing police families of all the different natures and levels in the area, criminally involved, like an O'Brien family. These people are crimes with Sandy Hook databases, with child sex offenders, and with drugs crimes, with overt criminal enterprises, and with private drugs crimes, and with CVS, with the policing of the stores. with all the stores in intercities through time. That's used to keep individuals like the police chief and like this Dillon family that are tied to thousands and thousands of people to keep them criminally foreign influenced and using that to further to hide their lie progressions and their actually recorded natures, which are not using the right to lie legally. See, but that's needing that's with our local police forms criminally involved with the directors, criminal uses of a guy named Mud with his physical delusions, for example, about what an intelligence community is, what morality is. Not we're like, for example, not just to be hard on. It's not to be hard on. Nancy Pelosi is wiser than him, a lot of ways, but they don't know how to speak because everyone's knaves, and that was left that way, and that was maintained, valued that way. Everyone was child abused. Nancy Pelosi and this guy Mudd were child abused. You guys you're letting care that is not just care for itself, or is not just care for blind sacrifice of itself. They're not letting care that is care for the Trinity's care for itself system that is going to cause positive or negative value nature progressions have a voice. You maintain needed, valued, sick jobs that you can't defend and also at the same time. Sick natures of industries. Sick convictions with natures of industries that you can't defend and also at the same time. And while there's not enough jobs, not by accident. So that values the nature of criminal city, the natures of theater, all misprision interwoven as an identity of negative value nature progression. Using identity nature as a weapon to prevent what it's supposed to be for, about how it is in nature of volume. Our nature has a nature to it that is greater than it. So values nature, controls the extent of value nature. We are inside that. As values nature as a complete identity itself, it is simultaneously nature's value. In other words, value nature inside values complete nature, which is again perfect progression and is a complete nature's complete relationship to itself. That is the course of what discernible semi-nature is about, with and as the value of invisible but still discernible quality of our nature's volume increase, positive or negative, in relationship to itself. So it increases here with evolution's fruits and gifts, or it is forced from here, lethal IDs, as an identity of relationship to itself and as the value of that, which is completely about science. Lethal IDs is a term of science. Pantheism is a term about the identity that inventions work in relationship to or not, that they are further positive or negative in value in relationship to or not. This is not just about Allah. Is the Quran is in the Old Testament the same way the Constitution. They're forced to entertain sequence shifts with the reception of them per states and areas in collusion, criminal collusion, with markets positions as value nature system, tactically ulterior from value nature systems, one that value nature's system, perfect value progression as nature that's going to cause positive value nature progressions or negative value nature progressions in relationship to it, and to its identity of relationship to itself and the value of that. So that's why the Trinity is constantly a subject, the subject. Finite nature of volume in individuals, the finite nature of volume. Grouped slash sexes is manifest in demonstration how we're an increasing nature of volume. Everything is manifest for and as the same course, about the same identity that is bigger than space nature, but inseparable from all parts of it. It's controls that we need water for positive. Whatever we want that's positive or negative that we want to avoid, it's in demonstration of the same course that we have demonstrating negative value nature progression since semi-ancient times, valued, breaching organized crime method maintained, valued effectively, blamed on other causes, other things themselves, the real causes of the negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, which is the devaluation of this nature of science. This cares for individual rights as a nature of volume. This doesn't parse that out into this person's. We care for blacks separately. We care for That's what they're doing too with the Fox Connecticut News. Not by accident, they have girls on there pretending they think that they should have education on sex education through as women and men involved medically, interbranch, and overt criminal enterprises, and more federal criminals and other natures of criminals with the kids, preventing free speech. And they're using, so I call up a recorded crime acts. There's an officer, Jerry Miller, also recorded confessed further with a Kerr family, further with the Mendez police, and with this Mendez police brothers, and this Phil Collo. And there's a women in his family also with crimes with prison clicks, with Sandy Hook database crime clicks with fire departments, where their databases tied clicks. So they're not letting crime. And every time I try to call or report crime acts on the phone, WFSB, who was recorded since before the principal sex offender they forced this way, they had a community meeting with the governor. Recorded, confessed, involved with all kinds of natures of crimes with the fake news and with child sex offenders. I never met him in my life. He's also recorded, confessed, involved with crimes with military police, foreign and domestic, and further with criminal uses of religious spots and houses next to them, per the same crime rolls with the houses next to the schools criminally involved. Both those corners of Highcrest Street were used for criminal rolls with uses of the sensibilities of teachers intercity further through time criminally already. Now in other words, they invested themselves needing to pretend they didn't realize things in databases that they already did that are federal crime. So they have needs and motivations as the women too to hurt the kids now because these are facilitated to roles. So we have the Wethersfield schools of all ages connected to the intercity ones. Like there are schools next to Lena's Pizza involved with them criminally with the ones further from my town. Now these are people that have been hiding behind titles and identities. So they're valuing, not by accident, extortion against people like me. Since before the Trade Center attack, in a straight line, having asked to report all the confessions and recorded proofs of this. But what they've been doing is stealing my identities into the databases, interbranch, all private tied to them. And we have mass physical delusions, interscience recorded here. But see, we're the media, the fake news, and the fake theater with them that needs that. And worse than that is with them. They're preventing mandated law. They're using wire crimes where if you call up the police, they're just going to pretend things recorded into databases other to save themselves because they were invested to this. Criminal uses of the overt criminal enterprises, even of the witness protection program. Crime rolls with them in collusion. Also, criminal uses of states, forensics clicks. Also, with the same houses in my area, facilitated to it through a police chief. How easy it is to facilitate them. Thousands of people, each area facilitated against correlation nature, so that they're keeping don't think, let others think for us. Natures, or you're hurt, and you're hurt like that anyways. Anyway, so news is fake news. It is worse than fake news. It is consciously, offensively criminal, fake, insidiously, categorically, sequentially. These are election crime rolls. They are letting themselves be the only ones to defend it now, rolls with the elections, because there are further election crime rolls. This is how they maintain only let realized presidents in collusion with states and areas, forced by states and areas. So you can't blame the president. And free speech, because all we need is free speech and quality of fact, cheap in nature, simultaneously, inherently, actively, and progressively true. And as using what is true simultaneously as all exception natures at the same time. See, we have criminal uses of statistics valued originally and still. And to pretend that's, because they have to replace correlation nature simultaneously, inherent, active, and progressive means, which is what? Identity nature's identity. Identity's identity. Correlation reveals that this is how we have to talk because of the Trinity. Not because of the Trinity per religion, which is not denying it. That's required to demonstrate this Trinity too. Again, by the identity their inventions work or not in relationship to, so it's invisible but still discernible. Again, there are further positive or negative or not in relationship to that, so it's invisible but still discernible. So Trinity nature. So they also have crime methods with the sensibilities of Facebook and of, all the online platforms, are the sensibilities of their treatments of behavior. And in other words, instead of having crime acts dealt with honestly, so we have courts criminally that are already incapable of dealing with fast freedom of speech because they're already criminally invested, needing to hide life progressions, needing to hide their natures, and needing to keep each age of fact cheaping nature from discernment of all the recorded simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive proofs of the branches with no integrity and are with worse as very creepy, insidious people originally and still. And that's not personal. That's what originally and still forced areas forsaken, people forsaking it, and they need to pretend things like prejudice because that's the science. Isn't our nature of volume, let its actual nature's course, would liberate everyone to, that's not freedom of anything having every people from a tactically worse than sick, denatured base devalued and pretend that's competition free, equal. They never had a chance. They never had a chance, even in the suburbs, but to be this. Recorded, we have no integrity interbranch. We have no integrity. They can only pretend hate from the background and lie with fake news from the background too, stealing our identities to fake conversations with them, fake locations with them, without fake ties to others. These are crime acts and cases that the media has with their spreading lies outside of them too. Offensively, after the fact, they're highly criminally involved. So they're valuing how that and how they have judges criminally involved with them, various natures of courts. They're all tied to them, criminally involved with them. Facilitated conversations and relationships to know that they have means and needs to hurt the same people together. But they can't do it on paper honestly, so they have real fast criminal uses of time. They're putting people in prisons through time, originally still they're innocent because they need to keep hiding their life progressions and the crime methods they have, criminal uses they have of body dumping spots and of murderers. The same people involved with the child offenders I'm trying to report now, and you're not letting me get a response. You stole my identity. Fox CT, WFSB, WTNH. There are further child offenders with the schools. They invested themselves in the background, needed to pretend things that they can't pretend on paper. So fix the fake news. And if have someone, I should talk calm. But I'm trying to show you that I could smash you with right now with the attorney general that is in my possession, that my rights to have do this now, and my needs with our nation to have this done. I wouldn't want to hurt anyone with justice, but we have sick people there hurting people with justice through time. This New Britain Superior Court was involved criminally with with uh with with, with Eric Jensen, with Violette Brothers, with many people associated with the house in my area, with the extended family members, with the child offenders, and with the lies and with the identity thefts against me. Just because they have a relative in my area, I never saw them in my area till I was an adult too. No, and I still didn't have a conversation with them. Saw them drive by. And it's worse. See, you're not letting how they stack names evolve with child offenders demonstrated. You're not letting how they're forcing sustained lies to the little kids, making them fear things. I'll say then the criminally saying it's about my nature of tone or whatever, because they need to hide sequence shifts. They need to hide their actually recorded natures and tones before that. Fear God, fear God. Get me the names. Get me the names of one of these pairings. They put the real news up fast. Then they put sequence shifts. They're stacking evidences, illusions in databases, Fox CT, WFSB. They're recorded training the sensibilities of little kids to pretend they're nervous about things. In other words, they don't even know me. And I wouldn't have had to be, I wouldn't have to go after these schools if they didn't bring the rape threat into it. If they didn't bring, those police, those people with the schools forced me need to call the school. And so they could demonstrate to me that they're going to that they're lying. So now we have women that are a problem here because they're preventing me from speaking and they're stealing me to fake voices, to fake relationship. They're making confessions and then leaving that out and attaching me and others to fake words, fake relationships to others. We have sick women and we need that demonstrated. And there are also people involved with gay groups involved with drugs. They don't care about the gay people. They don't care about any. This is what they don't care about. See why they put black in with the law Why they pretend to care about that? Why they pretend to care about different types of rights is so they can keep us from understanding that, and how we have to understand how individual rights are valued simultaneously with group rights, distinctly and non-distinctly, and simultaneously with our nature of volume as a species, distinctly and non-distinctly, and with our nature of volume as a nature as an identity of logic, which has one, a hierarchy of complete value, relationship to complete value. And semi-nature that does not, that relationship to that complete value is not completely value, and that's forced away from here as our value, as identity nature. They're not letting identity nature's course demonstrated, that and how it is actually recorded. They're needing fights, multi-front zone positions, self-defended, originally and still, breaching method tool roles, hurt, forced to it, tortured. You're not even letting torture. This is torture of fake news with the worse than intercampuses crime acts. Because we have experts in the backgrounds that can't pretend they're experts now because they're criminally involved. So we need the fake news to fix the fake news. And you have to understand how it is and discern how many people are recorded, so easily affected to crime roles with each other. So they're in the background saying, what are we supposed to do now? Arrest ourselves, everyone? Meanwhile, they're putting people every day in jail for way less, no. People that never had a chance. People tortured their entire lives because of it. You get out of here when you pretend value is value. When you pretend to be for everything. These everyone associated with the private, with the branches of government too, completely garbage liars to themselves and to others, where it counts, because they're victim predators the same way originally. You know, that's not our nature. That's not natural. They're victim predators. Predators, though. Predators. That's what American history is about. How they maintain juxtaposed. See, forget the theater. Forget the theater. And see, this invest people needing to hide their actually recorded natures into branch. That needs to pretend it's about morality. It's about, you know, the wall is not about morality unless it's about this nature of volume. When you leave out the wall and you leave out how way worse, we have murderer states and areas still, but just other methods, roles, because they're facilitated to it, indifference natures, worse. Crime acts with cases, criminal uses of everything tied to them, especially prisons, those campuses, sick natures in there, as child abuse, victim predators. See, this is also what keeps election crimes maintained criminally foreign influenced. All sensibilities, natures, valuing having had been valued and valuing themselves, the real cause of negative value nature progressions, acts, natures blamed others and left, not freedom. Say, sticks and stones may hurt my bones, may hurt our bones, but words will never hurt us. We have verbal defenses from gun crimes, from chemical crimes, all natures of crimes juxtaposed. That's because these people are reaching out to everything facilitated to them to need to hide their life progressions. This is a crime method that also affects loaded statements and he uses other crime methods speaking to groups where they're measured, going to have reactions when the interbranch families make confessions about their relationships with overt criminal enterprises, like with a Joshua Julian, and with a woman and with women with Coast Guard associated with identity theft clicks. I never had anything to do with Joshua Julian in my life. He's recorded and involved crimes online and with fake news and crime acts and with criminals in cases with crimes, with child sex offenders. He's also crime roles with the uses of the Facebook pages, interbranch and intercampuses with child sex offenders and with other natures of offenders with them, with him spreading lies with overt criminal enterprises through time recorded crimes with various natures of criminals and with their defendant, former director of the FBI, associated with a daughter involved with the houses in my area and with other federal criminals that were co-defendants of his, also with ties to the house in my area with the criminal involvements now with the rest of the child offenders. So we have the FBI quickly psychos, in other words, quickly evil people upon areas like New York City, blaming the real causative negative value nature, progressions, acts, and natures on other things other than themselves. They are not permitting president's equality of free speech, and they're investing them valuing into roles in natures, valuing theater, pretending other themselves. We are only value. See, we were supposed to see this. Well, we could also, if we're following actual science, you could discern when we are value in the sequence, individual nature of volume, group slash sections, then valued more. And, if you're valuing individuals, you're valuing this, whatever it is, sex they are. In other words, that's when then, secondarily, as positive evaluated nature actually always positive onto itself too. Then secondarily is sex value. And then third is species nature volume. So, but we have the opposite now. We have species nature of volume valued first, sexes slash group valued second, and individual valued third, because that's negative value nature. We are quality of diffusion as negative value nature, as criminal insidiousness nature that way. Still, and that's valued. They say, whenever someone uses whenever they say, "Oh, you could do anything," they're only talking about, in this value nature systems, other than this one with free speech that was left forsaken not to have free speech, but to be pretending it. We have a breaching influenced stewards. No matter who wins elections, because the election crimes, the election methods are recorded criminally foreign influence against whoever wins and against whoever tries to win. They have identity theft roles, a criminal uses of election spots already before the election. So how can there be free elections? Those people are going to be valued, are going to value those people that facilitated that exploited that most above them, those titles, using them as weapons to pretend other. That's being used to prevent free speech. They're preventing mandated law and not letting counters. And they're doing this with wire crime methods and mail crime methods and with crime methods in cases, with crime methods with police stations, with crime methods with interbranch political families, military, all for criminally foreign influence effectively and easily. Can't put anything on paper because they're caught. They'll be grounded BS. That's why they said they make things up so they can pretend other. That's why they're sustained. Well, if you call the police or if you call the schools to tell when there's a recorded crime acts on the kids, they write other when it shows that they're tied to it. Their family members. Shows how it's recorded how their family members were motivated to it as such too. If you want to be, they're preventing us from demonstrating how everyone's a victim by forcing us to respond to how they are predators criminally. So then they're not letting in other words, because they need to pretend things. They need to pretend hate. They need to pretend, oh, this person's an ism. This person's racist. This person's, you know, xenophobic. This person's, I don't even know what that is, xenophobic. Sick. They're not letting science have free speech because they have all physical delusions in their heads. Thinking xenophobic is just a person that's paranoid of groups. But see that they're using those terms criminally because groups are. In other words, our American history, one of the most basic, simple things to understand the nature of organized crime against our founders and everyone is how they use color. Our founders didn't put that here. That was a breaching organized crime method entrenched here. A forced databases relationship that was monitored. So you had to be a slave, everyone. Otherwise, they killed you. Otherwise, they hurt you. Other than to make a demonstration of everyone. And while the whole time they were doing what everyone missed, which is investing everyone into nature's needs and roles to blame the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures on other things and on others and on selves. So we have to come to a quality of fact treatment nature that is allowing sequence true, that is allowing interbranch identity theft rackets demonstrated how maintain criminally foreign influenced as victims, but as victim predators. So if they want to be received as victims, not just predators, then follow mandated law. Fix the fake news and report on the rest of the child offenders recorded with the schools. And report on how WFSB is recorded coaching with women at the school further. Wire crimes, mail crimes, identity theft crime acts, lying about what I report, lying about the substance of my communications with others, lying about my relationships to others. This needs someone to get livid, but I've been holding my anger and just reporting acts, and they just keep hanging up. They understand me. I speak very clear. I speak very more clearly than them because they have physical delusions recorded. They have criminality influencing their interactions. See, we have natures of jobs that are experts that are digressed tactically in that valley. We have to have a response to me now. Now, Fox Connecticut News is also recorded and confessed involved crimes with legislation and with legislators further involved with this and with their family members. That's what that means, interbranch. It means not just the police chief and the retired and standing detectives involved with the crimes in the area. Other executive leaders like the former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and a bunch of other FBI in the area recorded, confessed, and demonstrated how criminally used already, invested to positions needing to hide their life progressions, and now they're actually recorded natures and criminal uses of overt criminal enterprises in the area. And the witness protection program. Also, crimes with forensics clicks, with all of them together as identity theft crime acts, rackets, roles. These are identity racket roles, all fake sides on whole areas. People walk down from like those huge apartments where Jay-Z lived from. Who came out? God knows how you come out of that without rap. I don't know. Thank God for rap for that. But Jay-Z is not a scientist. Jay-Z's a victim of education that's going to tell him just to go by what people feel and think, sensibilities, and that will get you far in life. but and that will gain for naturally. It's not. In other words, that is preventing anyone from demonstrating how our leaders are being criminally foreign influenced, are maintained criminally foreign influence. This is through states and areas that are criminally foreign influenced all at once. See, we have this is not even debatable so many ways because we're not having a science-led voice. We have zoning laws that are criminally foreign influenced. We have a pathology of means of infrastructure of means to it that is through value nature systems tactically ulterior from freedoms, from our means actual, from our nature actual, without criminal foreign influence persuasions. So CNN would do, all I have to do is admit you're making mistakes. Pretending that titles have, follow mandated law and free speech for individuals. And stop pretending to be about that by caring for types of rights, because that's exactly what the organized crime method that use color wanted needs. Fake positive, pseudo positive, as criminal insidiousness nature. Not even a lawyer. This is recorded how lawyers were used as fake sides of issues. It's because this is a crime against correlation nature, which is a trinity. Fake middles, physical delusions, interscience is not by accident right there, valued by everyone with their opinions. Originally and still criminally foreign influenced. So we need a response because they have the wire crimes. They have the women and men intercampuses being coached to crime roles with interbranch families with their kids. See, they took their kids to the identity theft crime acts with me, against me, because they have crime act. They took them to crime acts roles with their database solution stacking crimes and cases proven, criminal uses of the inside of courts proven and further recorded. We have high predators. Then they use then while they're using time criminally preventing me free speech, they're using their standing criminal relationships to each age with a golf course at the end of the Brown Turnpike. The body dumping the gravestone spot at the end of the street, right there at the entrance to that too, and the place next to it, with various state police and various nations of foreign and domestic police, families associated with DACA that were crime acts roles with overt criminal enterprises, and with foreign and domestic with the Trade Center attack context. With the shared policing of the stores used already criminally to invest them, needed to hide how their knave rolls with streams going into courts each day. They're going to keep people doing the same manifest natures of crimes, and they're not going to be writing what truly happens, even when they write just what truly happens, because they're lying about what leads up to it. They're lying about, they already did, in other words, lie about that in cases. They already used the doctor of a principal offender associated with the rest of the male and females associated with the campuses criminally and interbranch. They already used him criminally to further that at first, with the rest further worse than him, with the campus, with the houses next to it. There is I don't know her, and I barely know his son, but her and her son, a Pierce family, confirmed that there were crimes with the Leahy family and with other doctors, with other fire departments, with crimes of foreign and domestic, with drugs, and with Russians, with the fire departments, with the drug crimes, with the overt criminal enterprises crimes, criminal uses of the state forensics lab, criminal uses of there and here, how they're the same crime methods against their own and against our own, because they're using psychology. This is recorded too because I didn't have conversations with them. They just made confessions to me about this because they in context where they need to pretend I had a conversation because they forged names, switched names. See, weird things happen when you have enemies that are criminally involved with the former director of the FBI, like the federal criminals from my town who before that was proven, their kids were involved with criminal uses of my school, spreading lies about me, rumors, you know, with overt criminal enterprises. And you say, "Oh, how come you hate these people for?" But everyone's facilitated to it. And what are you supposed to do? Run from everyone when they come? When that's what it's at the point now, because they have then how they use the gay issues and rights too. They have like old gay men and women couples. They're speaking in the background with like Sandy Hook tied extended family with the family members of longtime intercity high-ranking police forms in my area, criminally involved, all kinds of natures of crimes, and immoral people. So they'll need to pretend other because they have little sensibility. As a gay person, Tim O'Brien. I don't know if he's gay. He presented himself as if to be gay, but he also presented himself as if that was tied to how he liked a girl when he was in grammar school. But then he got involved with his parents and his mother and with the Rick Champollion family with interbranch crimes with kids. And in other words, identity thefts, which tried to push him up. Then she made him like look, gayish. But that's involved because they have criminal uses of that, pretending, there's mandated law. When you're trying to report something to the police, you have to report it. You see, but they're using their background roles with communicating with families, you know, work interreligious spots that were used criminally already too. See, they're using the sensibilities of everyone. And they're using evidence as rackets where they're preventing free speech from defending ourselves with a fake recorded things, and that's recorded, but they don't let us respond to that. So in other words, and they're forging and switching names. So Fox, Connecticut News, and WFSB and WTNH recorded and confessed and demonstrated that they also that they've been used for crimes with the fire departments and with the Weathersfield parks and with the community center, and they've been using stories to maintain sensibilities, invest in needing to value their roles with their lie progressions, with their lies about me and others, their identity theft crime acts, their sequence shift crime acts. They're making each age of fact treatment age of pro crime method effectively working. The value, hurt correlation nature, fake middles, physical delusions of misprision, body of correlation nature together, individuals of each school and of their connections. Because this is also how they have houses next to the high school through time, criminally involved with identity thefts, with the courts criminally involved, and with the foreign and domestic police and military, with the identity thefts. We have real punk, little creepy looking military families involved too. They need a beating because they, first of all, they just these are rap mobs, criminally foreign influence crimes with overt criminal enterprises in the area. You better get me a response too for the identity thefts. WFSB, Fox CT. Let's go. Get these Mendez brothers from the police, from the kids with the judges involved criminally with them, acting, stacking federal crime acts and databases, identity theft crime acts, crimes with the hallways of their thing. Also, confessions that they're using confessions criminally inside and outside of courts. At one way reports, they're forging names, switching names. So these Mendez brothers also involved with drug crimes and with thefts of my work and property when I was a kid too. I didn't even know that. That's all I know about them. I explained that online before. They pretended to hear other. Pretended to, that's recorded too. Pretended criminally to, that's recorded too. There's also two Domain brothers recorded, confessed, involved, criminally involved with Fox CT with them. And these are people who involve crimes with science families of each age of campus, like high school campuses and college campuses with drug crimes, with other uses, criminal uses of chemicals, smells and things like that. All time too, and sustained criminal uses of they're Wydell brothers with football, with the grandfather, and with a house up the street associated with the O'Briens and with the extended family members of the as the family with their extended family members like a Phil Claw and like Scaloros involved with crimes with the child sex offenders. The Scaloros are also recorded and confessed crimes with the Trade Center attack contacts and with CCSU crimes with CNN and with various natures of database crimes, drug crimes, sexual crimes, identity theft crimes, with on-off CCSU and other campuses criminally involved with her, and with them also with my from my town into Branch and criminal enterprises associated with her family members, like at DeMoros, also involved criminally with the same houses in my area, facilitated to it. I don't know these people. These are also people who facilitated the crimes with Mexico, with a diver, and with militaries, foreign and domestic, involved crimes with forensics clicks, and doctors, foreign and domestics, involved crimes with databases with them, with crimes with interbranch child offenders, not by accident. There were all kinds of natures of juxtaposed crimes in each that had lies and lies progressions. So CNN is recorded and confessed involved with election crimes, crime methods using, you know, fix it, CNN. You can be better. Just follow the rules. Follow follow the fix WFSB and Fox CT for them if they can't do it. Put them in jail then, because these are people putting people in jail all the time, every day. People are going to jail with courts involved criminally with them, and with the clubs and with the owners of the clubs also recorded and confessed involved crimes with this Dillon family and with the Charlie Bowes with the identity thefts with them. I never had anything to do with Charlie Bowes in my life. There's women and men associated with him with an Old Town Cafe in Old Weathersfield and with houses on Church Street and all the way from there up to CCSU criminally involved. Also, people with mobile gas stations sought me out and confessed before I ever went to work there. They confirmed it. They're involved with crimes with. These are people that were facilitated the crimes with the Trade Center attack context. People with already first with crimes intercities and intercampuses with my town, criminal uses of working spots, and the narratives with the people, the drug clicks, the cocaine clicks, and stuff like that. Uses of them for identity thefts, crimes with the Confederate flag, with uses with the child offenders, identity theft clicks with CNN. That's also in my area recorded with all kinds of gyms, boxing gyms with rat mobs in the back. The Justice Department using criminal uses of every location, every industry. Sammy Vega recorded and confessed involved with crimes with all kinds of people with Puerto Rico criminal justice, prison rackets, doctors, psychology rackets with that. Physical delusions, intercampuses, identity theft, crime acts roles. They're lying to groups. They keep hurt per methods that are on off campuses facilitated because they're really sickly. The most hurt comes from off campuses, but they're facilitating it, leveraged and maintained, needed and valued by all, blamed on other causes and other things themselves, and or not even let told on per the method that starts on campus, per the method that has all our states and areas recorded criminally foreign influence delusions raw. All experts, all. It's a problem. It's a problem. So please fix the fake news and allow news. Since founding, not been our obligation as Americans is to force free speech, mandate, and sequence and identity thefts from rackets, database relationships demonstrated and overcome. That will be done, they say, and many pray. So let's go, because they have that values theater and the sensibilities of each time location. Like, in other words, CNN wants to cover the Oscars now, but they're criminally involved with the Oscars. They're needing to pretend to be against things that they're furthering, which are sex crimes, sexual harassment of strangers, sequence shifts, identity thefts. Then they're pretending to be about morality. They're not about morality anyway. They don't care about gay people. They don't want They don't want a quality of fact human nature capable of demonstrating why and how a breaching organized crime method forced black rights tactically ulterior. They're forcing tactically ulterior rights forced groups, and they're pretending it's positive, not by accident. That's preventing demonstration of them as fake sciences, breaching organized crime method tools from being demonstrated. That's preventing the organized crime method that used slavery from being demonstrated and using black people criminally, pretending they're about positive. What's his face? Don Lemon is not about positive. He's about the nature of positive as criminal insidiousness nature. He's about the nature of positive that is using time to force reactions that are criminally exploited by people. They're making forcing people to be naive reactions. They're forcing quality of fact sheet nature. You know, where branches need to lie about people's behavior. They're standing criminal uses of locations, make fights, identity thefts. With they're making people can't mind their own business because they need to keep their life progressions hid. They need to keep integrity, hurt, and or stolen identity fighting other things that with no means to counter. You know, so we have all we need recorded, and it's not debatable. It's what science uses. What's not debatable, which is what's true always, and not denying any exceptions. And that's that, and how Connecticut interbranch various natures of courts, their police and their family members, and themselves were used for trade center crimes. First, they were motivated to it for their crimes with databases, for their criminal uses of their extended family members, which is in this, how it's used. Because this is completely a fact cheating nature organized crime method, specifically as one that keeps all blaming the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and nature is blamed on other causes, other things, and on selves. That's the crime method. Our fact cheating nature is its target, not money. They kept this since before we were sophistication. They have money. They have also what has everyone else who has money locked, not knowing how to defend that and themselves at the same time, and us from this. So follow free speech, follow mandated law, and fix the identity theft crime acts against me. The crime methods in the background pretending not to understand when I use a term that's against a group, because there are whole groups using that as that. That's not even debatable per the sequence shifts, per the Judges Crime Act rolls with them. Female judges, crimes with child sex offenders, that's the kind of nature of a person who needs to pretend to be about that people, these are bad people with the male gay people involved criminally preventing mandated law. And that's with overt criminal enterprise. This is not this is people against everyone. This is just hurting people. Fake news. They're forcing debatable things that wouldn't even be debatable the way they are if they put the true news. They're tactically lying to American people. Fake news. See, now I wanted to make the national news be above that, but you can't be above it. You won't do it. You won't follow the mandated law. You know, there are proofs that they heard about my YouTube and they lied about it criminally. And besides how they prevent mandated law and be a response to the courts. See, in other words, we went to the courts, they made confessions about this. Then they wrote other databases using women, using a pregnant prosecutor woman. It's not nice. These people shouldn't be in the courts. They don't have integrity. The women judges. There's a black woman judge involved with crimes with KKK themed Confederate flag. She needs to pretend lies and delusions. She needs to pretend things that she can't pretend on paper without being demonstrated a sick person with them, as them. Other people say there are crime acts roles, not just in cases, but there are crimes with their whole families before that. It's recorded how, to demonstrate how, confess how. Most people don't have a bunch of people that they went to school with recorded involved with all kinds of natures of database crimes recorded and then recorded how pretending not to realize because they recorded themselves recording fake things in there. Now that's why they need to respond to me, so then they could try to pretend to hold on to one of those fake things, and they'll get snapped. Fake branches fall. It's time for a wall. We have to deal with how this is in Mexico. Forget about it. They never have free speech. Everyone's blaming other causes, other things themselves for what is internation maintained, but it's not from us. It's not sourced from one nation, but it's maintained all nations the same roles. So they could where it is, where and as and how it's through us, that's only because we're forced to not be able to react to it right either. Because we're only let natures of experts and of titles and of jobs that are opinion natures that are tactically ulterior from the Constitution, defended surface values, and nature of relationship to itself, defended with sequence true, with evidence reception, of equality of integrity. So we don't have that. We have natures of courts and of campuses and training of the all tied to them like prisons already maintains a collusion with each other. Oh, that's for the crime method that was perfected here since before anyone was sophistication. That's why our founders had to leave slavery. That's why George Washington had to leave overt slavery with color in Connecticut right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War. Connecticut CT, cherry tree. That's why he didn't chop it down. That's why he only chopped down part of it even with the French general's help, meeting here in Wethersfield/Hartford right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War. So this is what Trinity College changed the Trinity's name because they're first called George Washington College, first associated, still associated with a house at the end of Zion Street, which is on the southern side, which is on the western side of Trinity College. And it's a very short street, and it goes down to Park Street, which is like a Puerto Rican mostly area. And that's with Puerto Rico victims of with their how we have the prison cliques and the training of them. They have like titles, like this guy's a sergeant, this guy's, and they walk around and they have so I'm not a police, I'm not a criminal, but they have training of this stuff on and off campus as criminally foreign influence. They have crime roles they're maintaining the stewards of these jails, like in Sandy Hook, Newtown has fire departments. It has interbranch police forms and families retired and standing involve crimes intercity with campuses because of their needs to hide lie progressions and they're from correlation nature. They can and do use body dumping spots and other natures of crimes to hurt out and kill out their problems and needs to hide lie progressions. They use making up things about people and making up fake evidences and crime methods and cases and natures in courts already originally and still. But they can only get away with it because everyone's not following mandated law and pretending things about past that also they can't pretend on paper because that also shows them tied to sequence shifts as natures recorded that can't defend themselves without being demonstrated as criminal serious natures, and as having been facilitated to crime roles with the Trade Center attack since those adults involved criminally were kids. They were used with crime acts leading that motivated their roles with that and their needs to hide from police reports regarding criminal uses of the Trade Center attack context with the ones from my city and state criminally involved. And these are people involved with crime acts intercities with campuses. How they are motivated to it and doing it is also recorded through facilitation. Recorded them all sharing needs to pretend whatever in the background rather than allow me to demonstrate the recorded crime acts and uses of the wire crimes and of them preventing crime acts against kids and threats on the kids recently recorded and ones in the past they won't record, told on. They rush in and make a fake news article and have a town meeting and stuff like that because they're building liars. Because they use the interbranch, use their kids criminally with my name. Because they pretended they knew they had conversations with me they never did in life. I sat next to a Christine Bedard slash Tardet in a cooking class, recorded and confessed involved her crimes with drug cliques, crimes with a Mayano clique with interbranch, crimes with database sequence shifts, crimes with the rest of the child offenders of various natures, interstate still. Let's go. These are people crimes with FBI recorded and confessed. These are crimes with overt criminal enterprises recorded and confessed with them through time. Sequence shifts. I never knew John Mayano until after I graduated. Until after my class graduated. I stayed back specifically so they could do a sequence shift because they had painted people and me into locations that never were in the past and had every exception criminally exploited set up to be. And that's recorded too. How they're doing that, those methods are recorded. So they're preventing free speech of equality needed at all from being true too. We have cowards interbranch with their kids with Weathersfield High School, Weathersfield Middle School, and with Highcrest School and other schools, intercity. But we have Highcrest School with interbranch families with their kids that lied to them about me. And they know they did that purposely. And these are drug cliques that criminally that use that to maintain little insidious hurt victim predators associated with them. How many girls they hurt? uh, tied to Brian Silver. I never had a conversation in my life. These are bad people with New Britain Superior Court, with an O'Brien family and with the Champfillon family. Crimes with them with the both corners of the Wethersfield, I mean of the child sex offenders campus further time recorded. Wethersfield High School and with Highcrest School. And these are also offenders on and off campus with drugs with the Phil Colo family and with people associated with a Yagman family and with the Joshua Julian. Their criminal uses of Facebook for drugs crimes, for identity thefts, for crimes on and off campuses, for data-based crimes, and for their crime roles and cases. And leading up to those cases, crime acts roles, illusions. All we need is recorded. We need the news to step down from the identity thefts. See, Fox CT, WTNH, and WFSB recorded taking me to fake conversations with this WFSB, fake both sides of stories, sequence shifts after they were already recorded involved with what I've been trying to report. See, they hid that by pretending not to know me and then pretending the conversation. They pretend misprision things. They're pretending all kinds of fake things at once. Whole bunch of people they're keeping criminally foreign influenced, criminally acting with the campuses, and with the courts further criminally involved. Already having stacked me to fake conversations, already having hid their confessions to me and others. They're using time as a weapon. They force us to the place, make the confessions. I have no reactions. I say about the crime acts. They confess, make things, then they write other. As they're told because they're indifferent to being crime roles with police forms with judges. So that's a problem. We have a Pandolf family also crimes with lawyers and with the prosecutors criminally involved. Prosecutors, they're standing treatments of fact treatment nature, of our nature's value, people. Now, to defend this, we have to defend individual rights, group rights, and species rights simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly. It's simultaneously. They're preventing this by starting fights and with little gay people with child sex offenders, specifically so they can pretend to be about gay rights and stuff like that, shut down men from speaking because it's just too embarrassing. They don't want to be talk about who wants to fight with gay people they don't even know. You know what I'm saying? This and identity thefts, and they want to have natures of arguments that you can't have unless you're going to be entertain their physical delusions. You have to say mean things about them. They force that. They know they force that so they can criminally pretend to be against that. That's a nature of extortion method inside a whole bunch of them they have bonded. So we have problems. We have problems. Intersciences. We need these government shutdown now. Respond. They owe a lot of money too. That's where we get the money from. We have a lot of people that do not deserve jobs because, in other words, they're jobs that you can't defend and also at the same time. You can't defend. Go tell you be the job. You go whip that person. You can't defend that job and us at the same time. And this breaching organized crime new method knew that, and it's not always that overt. So we have whole industries of fake news, theater, pretending it's not theater, as criminal to citizen in nature. As a victim predator doesn't understand, but they understand that they're lying and committing crimes, but that are indifferent to it because they're being influenced to it by directors, by their interbranch sources, by having had that be the standard originally and still. The president asked, he wants that standard done, but they don't want to do it. They won't let the president have that quality of fact treatment nature. Fear. It means appear. So CCSU and Trinity College in Yukon further has crimes with not with intelligence people with interstates, even to California. involved. They have criminal uses of speech classes, each nature of class per their adapting roles, per their adapting needs to counter and to keep correlation nature settled down into roles. Abridged fact sheet nature as criminal disease nature, there as hurt, only capable of quality of fact sheet nature because of it. This is very bad. We have fake science, no free speech yet. It's 2019. We still don't have free speech because we have offensive. We don't have worse than free speech. We don't have free speech while we're being tortured, while we're having our identity stolen, while they're sequence shifting against us, while they're stacking database solution crime against us, while they're stealing us to fake communications, fake sides of stories, both sides in cases, attaching our family members to fake positions with that, fake ties to others, fake words that they're already recorded before then, because these are crimes with WFSB, with federal criminals in cases associated with defendant, former director of the FBI, and with various natures of federal criminal pension thieves proven, and drugs clicks proven in the area associated with them further. With this Phil Collo also involved with the houses in my area, with him and other um, extended family members of them crimes with the drugs, and with the courts criminally involved, and with Sandy Hook criminally involved, and with states forensics place criminally involved, and them criminally involved with the witness protection program ties to the street, and with criminal crime acts of with Joey Quest, and with others at the end of the Berlin Turnpike, with federal crimes with identity theft clicks, and these are other natures of identity thefts, which when you lie about someone in a legal proceeding or leading up to it with investigators, that's identity thefts. See, the also this is how it's a branch attaching people to fake words and fake sequence, fake natures of relationships to others, affecting tricks to make affecting tricks with fact sheet nature so they can pretend to perceive things criminally, and that's recorded too. They can't pretend anything on paper and legally following the rules. So they maintain the rules, but maintaining all kinds of criminal serious natures using wire crime methods to prevent people from speaking while they keep just adapting in the background. There's a problem where the mandated law is not being followed. They're pretending things recorded that aren't, and then they're making all lies about me to each age of fact sheet nature. People I never even met. They've been using criminally. Now, those people are going to then say they're going to quote those sources, which is also the news. WFSB coaching little girls to stay home from school, to be afraid about things that they shouldn't be, and to fear things, to not fear things they should be afraid of. They should fear God for this for these games through them, and with my name, lying about their substance of communications with me, lying about the sequence, lying about what I report to them. See, that's leaving no means to counter when they're lying, and they're forging and switching names with doctors. I mean, with judges. And these are the ones criminally involved with the principal sex offender before he got caught, with their online Facebook rape threats and other natures of sex crime acts roles and sick natures. We have physical delusions, interscience. I'll take care of them right here. Get me the mandated law, follow. Come on, I'll help you out now.